Hello and welcome to Sandra's Stamp and Craft Studio. Today I'm going to be showing you a technique that is doing the stamp markers directly to the rubber stamp. My Celebrate Sunflower stamp set. Absolutely gorgeous stamp set, and it's got these lovely images. Today I'm going to be using the smaller image, and despite the fact that I was fussy cutting it, there is actually a die for it. So some of these dies do just jump off the magnets occasionally. So here's my stamp set. Take the sleeve out of the way. So some of the stamps I've already got mounted and are on the blocks ready to use, but here are the other dies in here. Now this is the one that I could use, and the leaf and the outline image there. Because I didn't want any white little surround on this particular card, I'm actually fussy cutting those today. If you're not a fussy cutter, then there are the dies there, so just want to point that out to you. So this is the stamp set I'm going to be using today. We will line up what I'm going to do here for you. So I'm going to get my bits of equipment ready for you, and I'm going to be using the small image of the sunflower, as I said to you. I will just bring that in onto a little bit closer for you, so that you can see as I go along. Now this looks like it's dirty because I have been obviously made up my sample before I've set the video. Just bringing that onto the camera so that you can see me. I hope that's near enough to the camera. So what I'm going to be using here, the Stampin' Up, Stampin' Right markers are very good. They have a wide end here and a narrow end here. Now that took me a long while before I actually realised that there's a wide end and a narrow end without having to take the lids off the pens. So just point that out in case you weren't aware of that. So I'm going to take the largest end of this is the crushed curry one. So I'm going to be going along here. Now the trick here is you don't want to mush the tip of your pen. So if I bring that up to the camera, you don't want to mush the end of that. So basically what you're going to be doing is going to be laying this down very slightly, and I tend to go around the middle of the image. And I'm not using my point, so I'm just laying it down and just colouring all the way around the outside there. When you get to, you'll find a way that you're happiest working. I like to just go all the way around the outside of the largest area first, and usually the lightest area first. So I'm just coming around there, just colouring those images in like so. So I hope you can see me okay. I'm bringing it up to the camera deliberately. Now here where I've got the leaves, I'm just going to go in and out of those leaves on the outside edges and then come back around the middle. And again here on the outside edges and then colour in the middle. Okay, so most of that image is now coloured in. Do make sure you get on the outside edges. You can just go around the middle and then just flick outwards like this. That works as well, but make sure that you really do cover that. So I'm going to pop that down, discard my crushed curry pen and pick up my garden green pen, again with the wide end, the largest end. And I'm going to take this one. I'm right-handed, so I do like to hold it in my left hand and then use my right hand for my ink. So I'm going to, again, laying this down on its side. So I'm going to come along here and just colour those images in. It helps after you've done the first one, as you'll see from the colouring on the stamp. You can see mostly where they actually run to. So you're just gently colouring that in. No force, no pressure at all on there. So that's the garden green. And now I'm going to go to the early espresso. So I've got a runaway wink of Stella there. So I'm going to go to the early espresso now, and this is for the centerpiece. So I'm going to be colouring this in, again, just in soft circular motions, and then just colouring the centerpiece. Okay, so that's all completely covered there. So the whole of that image has been stamped. Now, some people say you have to huff on it, which I'll bring it up to my mouth here, and you basically go like that. I don't normally find that I need to do that. Depends on how quickly you work. So I'm just stamping that image on my piece of card here. I'll bring that up to the camera. So there is our beautiful image, and it's got all three colours on there. Okay, so that is really, really, truly lovely. Now, because I've got the ink on here, when I will be inking that up again, and I would do my second and third images, but I'm just going to show you how you can actually get a second image without re-inking, and you can actually get a very nice subtler image, and they will both colour in very, very nicely. So I'm going to discard my stamp for now because I have got some that I've prepared earlier, but you can see those images. There's two lovely images there. So this lighter one would give you an equally nice image, but I'm going to put that to one side for now. And we're going to be working with this one here. Now, so you can see what I'm actually working on, I'm going to put the grid paper down as well. So I'm going to put that on here like so. Now, with my Wink of Stella pen, that is very, very bright light on there, isn't it? If I bring you right down, oh, that's better. It's a bit too far. Just bring you back again. There we go. If I bring that over to the left there, you've got a lovely clear image. So I'm going to be using my Wink of Stella pen. Now, this is an older pen. Just bring it into the camera so I'm so close. This is an older pen, and all the lovely glitter has disappeared. I've used it all up. Now, you might have heard me say before on Facebook Lives or videos that I never throw away my Wink of Stella brush. If you take the lid off, we don't need that today. But in the barrel here, you have a load of pigment ink. Now, you'll be able to see here, because I'm in so close, there is a lot of nice sparkly pigment ink in there. Now, when this runs out and you have no more ink in there, if you unscrew the barrel and squeeze this into a little tiny jam jar of water, I have got a little one here. This is just, oh, it's there's my little jar of water. Oops, a daisy. There's my little jar of water. And look, some mysterious little Stampin' Dimensionals. We say they go everywhere. Now, I've never had them in my little pot of water before now. So that's a first. So there we go, on camera. So I will just squeeze that like you would an old-fashioned fountain pen. And you're going to turn it up, squeeze it in, suck up the water, and then you're going to replace that image, the barrel on there. You just give that a little shake. You're going to wash out the pigment ink from around the inside of that barrel, and you can keep on using this. It basically transforms into a free water brush. So I'm going to start by colouring these in for you, and I hope you can see on the camera there. Because the ink colours that we use are all water-based inks, you will be able to pick up that ink, and you will see as I go around how this, I'm just touching on just on the yellow at the moment, the crushed curry. So I'm just colouring all those in. I'm actually bleeding that ink that is already on there and just spreading it around a little bit. So it's kind of like a little bit of a diluted watercolouring. There's no more ink on my brush at all. If you wanted a stronger colour, you could tap your ink pad onto a piece of acrylic at your edge of your acrylic block and just take that extra colour. But there's one I prepared earlier. There's one, the ones I prepared earlier of though. There, let me just get a blank one. Have I got another blank one? There's another blank one. So here's one that before the stamping, before the colouring in, just like that. So I lay them side by side. So that's what it started off as. And then this is with the colouring in. Exactly the same colours, exactly the same technique. Okay, so there's one. And then all I do to clean the brush is just wash it on a piece of paper, a kitchen towel here, or a tissue, just to take off any excess ink. It's a good habit to get into, mainly if you are using darker colours. So I've done the lightest first, so it's not quite so prominent. So now I'm going to go for my green. This is my garden green. And I'm just, like I say, pushing that around. So here you've got one that's done and one that's not done. So I will colour that last one in up there, like so. And just in case there's any green left on there, I will wipe it on my tissue. And now I'm going to go for the last. This is the early espresso. We don't want the early espresso to bleed into the yellow. We want to keep that all self-contained. This kind of technique reminds me of when I was very, very young and we had colouring books as children where you would colour in, they were pre-printed, pre-impregnated colouring books, and you coloured in, you just had a paintbrush and a pot of water and you just coloured all those images in. So that was that. This reminds me of those days. Now what I'm going to do here is I want to do some fussy cutting. So for the fussy cutting I do need my glasses. I'm going to try and just zoom you out slightly. Okay, there we go. I'll stop moving. Because I will be bringing this up to the camera to be able to cut this for you. Now on the two that I've prepared earlier, like I said, there is a die, but you will be left with a little outside line on it. Partly because I forgot there was dies, and partly because I didn't want the white line, I have fussy cut this. So for the purposes of the video, I will be actually fast forwarding this. So I'm just going to show you to get started. So I am cutting around the outside edge. My scissors will stay still, and I'm holding onto the piece of paper here, and I'm moving the piece of paper. So you might have seen me do this several times already. We are just fussy cutting this image. And so I'm holding the piece of paper and I'm fussy cutting along there. My piece of paper is the piece that is moving.
You can do most anything, so just do what you love. Live it, share it, you know it's what you're dreaming of. It's what you're dreaming of. What we love, what we do makes a difference in me and you. All these years of inspiration and love. Oh, how we live, what we say, it's stamping up and it's our way to love, live and share it.
And there we have our image all fussy cut out. Okay, so just bring that down onto the camera. Now I hope you can see, if I just tilt this very slightly, can you see the sparkle on here? I hope you can. I might be too close to the camera. There is actually Wink of Stella. In real life there is actually a lot of sparkle on here, but I can't seem to. There's a little bit, there we go. So that is actually sparkling, and that is just from an empty Wink of Stella with some just tap water inside it. So now I'm just bringing the grid paper back onto the table here. This is my base card. Today I'm going to be using an early espresso base card. So this is my base, and this is a piece of designer series paper from our new designer papers. This one's called In Good Taste. Now this is a bumper pack. It's got 12 different patterns on the front and 12 on the reverse. So you've actually got 24 designs in one pack. But with 2 sheets of each, you've actually got 24 sheets in there this time. So that's one of our bigger bundles. But they've got some lovely textures in there. It really is gorgeous. So here's my base card. Just going to bring you on a piece of Whisper White card. And just to finish off here, I will stamp you some of the leaves. So I have my garden green ink pad here, and I've pre-mounted my leaf image. So gently just tap on there, very, very gently. And I'm just going to stamp you some leaves. I'm using 2 on here today. I've got 3 flowers and 2 leaves. So I'll just do that one up and put that one out of the way. And these would be treated exactly the same. So I will grab my Wink of Stella and I will just cut those in, colour those in like so. And as you can see, I'll bring it up to the camera in a sec. Very, very quickly to do. And I'll bring up, and you can see that one is just inked and one is actually coloured in just with clear water in the Wink of Stella brush. So I'll quickly colour in that other one on there as well, just so you can see what they both look like. Okay, and they are ready to either be die cut or fussy cut by hand. Okay, but I have prepared those images already for you. So here is our sunflower that I've just cut with the leaves on. Here are 2 more sunflowers, sparkling on here nicely. The camera is so bright you probably can't see that on there. And then 2 of those leaves that I have die cut already for you. Okay, so of the faux fussy cut, because I haven't got the white line around the edges. So to build those up, I am going to add my Stampin' Dimensionals where they are hiding. So I'll just bring on my Stampin' Dimensionals. So what I like to do with these is to have on the sunflower, on the back of both of these sunflowers, I'm going to put one of the leaves. So what I'm going to do is pop a mini Stampin' Dimensional in the core, to the lower half of those leaves, and remove those 2 backings off there. Then I'm going to I'll bring it up to the camera. I'm going to put some Tombow multi-purpose adhesive just underneath that, and take one of my sunflowers, and I'm going to make sure that this is just giving it some dimensional on one of the edges. It won't go flat, it's just going to nip that in the middle. So the middle is flat, but the outside has got a bit of lift to it. And I'll do the same on this one. So I've got a mini dimensional in the middle, and I will bring the sunflower just so that you can see the middle dimensional there, and you don't want to see it underneath the card. So I'm just popping that on there and gripping the middle so that the middle is flat and there's some dimension in there. Okay, so those are going to be in effect my flat pieces. So I'll take those out of the way. The big image here, I will be adding a big one to the side, and I'll do one either side on this one. You can use some minis if you prefer, but 3 large ones does quite nicely. So if I won't remove those just yet. So for my card today, I'm going to be placing a little cluster down here, but you can see, hopefully you can see that that's just with that dimension, it's just lifting it very, very slightly on one edge. So my tombow I've just popped on the back there, and I'm going to place one down this bottom left-hand corner. And then I will do exactly the same with the other one with that little dimension on there, just on one edge. And I'm going to place this one just slightly overlapping it, and it's going to come with the leaf over to the side there. Now this one is our larger image, and those two I trimmed the leaves off. This one I haven't. So this will have some leaves, and I'm going to angle this one just very slightly downwards here. We are going to cover one of those up, and so that will be raised all over the whole of that image. Okay, so there's part of our card done. For the next piece of my card, I'm going to stamp our sentiment. So I'm bringing on a piece of Whisper White card and our sentiment and the Memento black ink pad. So I'm going to tap this very gently. And I have a narrow strip of card here, but I will be trimming this down. So I'm going to get this as close to the bottom as I can without putting my head in front of the camera. So I'm going to stamp that just there. Okay, and lift that off like so. It's a lovely image. So I will put the lid on my ink and discard that for now. So we're going to take the baby, the mini trimmer here, and I want this to end up at 1/2 inch. So the 1/2 inch mark, because I know my trimmer, the 1 inch mark is here. The 1/2 inch is just on that edge there. So we all know our own tools. So I know where that line is for me, and I will just guillotine that away. Okay, so our image here, I want to have just a little bit shorter than that. So I'm going to make that just about so from the edge on both sides. So they both want to be roughly even. I'm going to cut those off there, put my guillotine away. So this is my greeting. I'm just bringing it up to the camera so you can see there's a small border on each end. And I'm now going to bring on my lovely Labels Pick a Punch. Now this is one of our new punches in the annual catalogue. And you can actually, there's 3 different widths on this one and 3 different widths on this one with 2 different patterns. So they are at 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch and 1 inch. I've written this on here with a Sharpie, but it does wear off a little bit. So I have written them on the reverse as well. Now today I'm going to be using this end here. So I will feed this in the 1/2 inch track. Remember, we trimmed that down to 1/2 inch. But as a best practice, I do turn this over. I'll bring that up to the camera for you, and make sure that that image is in the center. So both sides are even before you actually squeeze that and punch. Okay, and there is the end of our little label. And I will do the same again. I will turn over, oops a daisy, turn over, pop that down there, bring it back to the camera, and just make sure that both sides on there are even before I squeeze and punch. Okay, so there is our lovely label with the ends done there as well. Okay, so you can see that on my hand a little bit better. Okay, so next step, we will take our crushed curry ink pad, okay, and then I have a piece of sponge, and I'm going to hold this and just, I've got the sponge, the ink on the sponge already. I'm just going to take this and very lightly go along the edges here. So this just gives a very soft edge to it, and it will just set it off from the white. Sometimes you find that you've got too much white on there, and just by sponging those edges very, very slightly, then it just softens it and it brings the colour tones all together. So there we go, we're just going along that edge. It's very quick. All I will say to you is to make sure that you don't do this over a finished project, because sometimes you will get little splatters just fall onto your projects. Not so bad with the yellow, but if you have a darker colour and you are sponging the edges, you will end up with some little marks, some little splatters on your project. Okay, so that's a lovely sentiment there. So we'll close the ink pad and discard that for now. And our sponge. So I think we're ready. Just take that piece of paper out of the way, and I think we're ready just to finish off this card here. Okay, so here's my sentiment. I'm going to turn that over and grab my mini dimensionals again. So on the left hand side I'm going to add 1, and on the right hand side, because it's going to overhang here, I'm going to add 2 on that side, fairly close together, and then a little bit of Tombow just in the middle there. Okay, and I will remove those backings off there. It's pivoting around while I'm trying to get those off, so sorry for that. So there is our greeting. So if I show you up to the camera, there's our greeting. Okay, and on the reverse of that, I've got 1 dimensional this side and 2 that side, and some sorry, it's still too bright, isn't it? Yeah, I've got a dimensional at the left, I've got 2 on the right, and some Tombow in the centre. So I'm just going to bring that back onto my card and hold that up on here. It's up to you where you want to place it. It's entirely up to you. I was going to take out just some of that leaf so there's not too much leaf in there. And I'm just going to press that down on there. So because these are on dimensionals, it will bring them level with the dimensionals on the middle one. Okay, and last thing I'm going to do is to take some of our in colour 2020-2022 in colour enamel dots. So these are our 5 new in colours, and they are gorgeous. So we've got all the colours on here. So I'm just going to add 3 down the side here, just to give it a little bit of detail. So I'm just going to wiggle that to release the glue, the adhesive underneath here, and just pop the 3 little gems down there, like so. And we've finished with those. So if you enjoyed this technique today, how to use your markers direct to your stamps, then please like and subscribe underneath to my video and ring the bell so that you get notified of any future videos as I upload them. Okay, so thanks for watching me today.